Coming up, the Phillies are charging toward a playoff spot, and some of the best teams in baseball got tripped up on Monday. This is Locked On Now MLB.
The biggest games, the best performances, expert analysis. You are Locked On Now.
Welcome in. You're listening to Locked On Now MLB, local experts weighing in on the biggest stories in baseball. I'm your host, Kainani Stevens. Thank you for making Locked On Now your first listen every single weekday. We've got our host here to recap all of the action for you from Monday. We are going to start out with the Phillies beating the defending champs in last night's biggest game.
The biggest game.
Bryson Stott tallied 5 RBIs in helping the Phillies beat the division rival Atlanta Braves. On Monday, Philly now sits just a half game out of an NL wildcard spot. And Locked On Phillies tells you who has helped the Phillies get there.
Yes, I'm here live from section, what are we in tonight? 111 here at Citizens Bank Park. It's empty. Connor Thomas, your host of Locked On Phillies. Let me make sure there's no one around. What a win for your Phillies. Bryson Stott plays hero. A 5 RBI night for him. Are you kidding? An amazing night for the kid. Great pitching performance by Ranger Suarez. A weird night with some weird bounces. Rhys Hoskins was awful defensively, but it doesn't matter because Bryson Stott came through in a huge spot, wins the game for your Philadelphia Phillies, and the Phillies get a much-needed win over the Atlanta Braves. They stopped the 3-game skid. They bounced back from getting swept by the Cubs, and now a chance to win this series tomorrow with Aaron Nola on the mound. That sounds good to me, but man, can't say enough good things about what Bryson Stott did tonight with his 5 RBI night. Alec Boehm, a huge performance. He's batting over 400 in his last 20 games. Just this offense, they've got a little bit of life. We'll see if it carries over till tomorrow night.
The Chicago Cubs hot streak out of the All-Star break continues as they won their 5th game in a row on Monday night over the Pirates this time. Locked On Cubs recaps how Chicago took advantage of another weak NL Central team at Wrigley Field.
Cubs win again, 5 in a row, 4 in a row since the break. 3-2 game, not very aesthetically pleasing. A lot of mistakes by the Cubs on the base paths, some shaky defense by both teams. But the Cubs found a way to win this game, and the cool part about it was the two guys going into the year that have been kind of the biggest surprises and most positive parts of the Cubs season were the guys that really stood out outside of Adrian Sampson. Nico Hoerner with another game-winning clutch base hit with 2 outs in the 8th inning. And then Scott Effross, who has been one of the unsung heroes to this Cubs team. He leads the big leagues in appearances. He has a stellar ERA. He's been awesome. Gets his first career save as the Cubs were giving David Robertson the day off. Cubs win 3-2. They go for their 2nd straight series sweep, albeit this one would be a 2-gamer tomorrow at 1:20 at Wrigley against the Pirates. Let's keep it going.
Another struggling team off to a hot start in the second half. The Cincinnati Reds beat the Marlins at home in a game Locked On Reds said the team had everything going its way.
Point to an aspect of baseball, and I'll tell you what the Cincinnati Reds did right last night because it was everything. Hey, this is Jeff Carr from the Locked On Reds podcast, here to tell you that they must have had King Midas's touch in Great American Ballpark last night because everything the Reds touched turned to gold as they destroyed the Miami Marlins. Nick Lodolo, best start of his rookie year, 6 innings, 9 strikeouts, struck out the side in the 6th inning. Absolutely perfect bounce back after an outing in St. Louis for his last time out in which he had no command. He even said it after the game. He's just like, I didn't know where they were going because I didn't have the feel for it. He had the feel last night, and he absolutely shut down that Marlins lineup. And if it weren't for a couple of gaffes by Michael Papierski behind the plate, probably would have held the Marlins scoreless overall. And then on the lineup side of things, Jonathan India is back. I think he is starting a second half that is going to make us feel just so rosy about the Reds' future. The future looks brighter whenever Jonathan India is this hot in the lineup. almost hits for the cycle, grand salami, beautiful night for him, 3-run homer for Brandon Drury, just keeps up in that trade value, and all in all, the kind of night that you dream about. It's like the Reds were playing MLB The Show on Rookie or something against the Miami Marlins. We're going to talk about that and look at the fact that the Reds signed their first-round pick in Cam Collier and what that means for the future of the franchise on tomorrow's Locked On Reds.
Coming up, two of the best teams in baseball, the Astros and the Dodgers, both take an L to start the week. This is Locked On Now MLB. Today's episode of Locked On Now is brought to you by Built Bar. They're the best tasting protein bars on the market. All of them are made with 100% real chocolate, and they come in dozens of different flavors. Their newest one is cookie dough chunk puffs. Comes with that protein-infused marshmallow, of course, high in protein, but low in fat, low in carbs, low in sugar. If you head over to Built.com, you can use our promo code LOCKED15. It gets you 15% off your order. Just put in that promo code LOCKED15 to get you 15% off of your order at Built.com. Welcome back to Locked On Now MLB. I'm Kainani Stevens. Thank you for making Locked On Now your first listen every single weekday. Let's continue our look around the league with a rare loss from the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Let's go around the league.
The Dodgers lost on Monday, ending a long winning streak and one of the hottest months of the entire season for any team. Locked On Dodgers breaks down the numbers after the defeat by the Nationals.
Well, guys and gals, I'm kind of at a loss here, so I hope you will bear with me as I try to get through this video. This is Jeff from Locked On Dodgers, and the Dodgers played a baseball game today, and at the end of the game, they had fewer runs than the other team, and I can't remember what that means. It's been a long time, a long time. For the first time since like July 12th. I think it's been 13 days since the last time the Dodgers lost a game. Only the second time since when you woke up on the 4th of July. Remember how great you felt that day? Yeah, this is the second time since then the Dodgers have lost. That was 3 weeks ago today. So, Dodgers lost 4-1 to the Nationals. No loss is fun. This game was kind of ugly. Just a lot of lazy flyouts. They just couldn't quite barrel up the ball for the most part. A couple rallies that fizzled out. Just one of those nights. This is why even the best baseball teams lose 50, 60 games a year, because it's really hard to win every night, even when it's the best team in baseball against the worst team in baseball. Bright side, Giants and Padres both lost too. But yeah, Dodgers just got to put this one behind them and move on, because the Nationals tomorrow will still be the worst team in baseball and the Dodgers will still be the best team in baseball. So hopefully they can win that one. Check out Locked On Dodgers for all you need to hear about this one. Make us your first listen.
Houston lost their third game in 4 days yesterday after falling on the road to the A's. Locked On Astros wasn't too worried, though, and even had some silver linings to go over postgame.
H-Town Will House here with Locked On Astros, and the Astros drop another game to the Oakland A's. 3 of their last 4 they've lost. They lost 7-5. Jake Odorizzi was dealing with a blister most of the game. He apparently tried to fix the blister, or he popped it to save the bullpen, and he did that. They didn't use much of the bullpen tonight, so that's a good thing. Only 2 Astros had multi-hit games. Jeremy Pena did hit a home run in the first inning, second game in a row to extend his hitting streak to 7 games. Elimas Diaz has a 5-game hitting streak, so there's some positives in there. Yordan Alvarez didn't do much at the plate today, and so the offense, although they scored 5 runs, they couldn't scratch across the win. They go into tomorrow's game where they have Luis Garcia versus Frankie Montas. Stay tuned in to Locked On Astros. Remember, we are your team every day. Go Astros.
The Baltimore Orioles won on a bullpen day to move back above 500. Locked On Orioles tells us how Baltimore got the best of the Tampa Bay Rays.
The Orioles are back to 500 once again. Connor Newcomb here, host of Locked On Orioles. 5-1, the O's beat the Rays on Monday night in Game 1 of a 4-game series. And you got to give props to the Oriole bullpen. 6 scoreless innings, 4 hits, 8 strikeouts, no walks from 5 different relievers, including the return of Nick Vespi, who was recalled on Monday night. Man, inning and 2/3 with 4 Ks. That slider was ridiculous from Vespi. And everybody did it for the O's in this one out of the bullpen. That's because Austin Voth got 3 innings and he was out of there. The O's should probably get someone else to help Voth get through games. Hopefully that's DL Hall, but we will see. But the O's got the big inning in the fifth, and you just cannot say enough about what this Oriole bullpen has done all season. This was one of their best performances of the year. Not their best, but one of their best. Just dominating the Rays as the O's take game one. I'll recap it all coming up on Tuesday's episode of the Locked On Orioles podcast.
While the Orioles might be happy to get to 500, the San Francisco Giants aren't as thrilled to be back at even after their hot start to the season. Locked On Giants has more on what's gone wrong lately for San Fran.
Giants lose 7-0 to the Arizona Diamondbacks. They just look completely lifeless. They've lost 5 straight coming out of the All-Star break, and they're back at 500. Ben Kaspick with the Locked On Giants podcast. Just frankly, this does not look like a good baseball team right now. And they started off, 13-5, and they've been below 500 for a very significant stretch of time ever since. And with the trade deadline a week from tomorrow, this looks like a team that is, you could definitely make a case that they're not a team worth giving up any talent to bring in players to help this team. It does look like a possibility that this is a roster that needs to be sold from, although I'm still doubtful that will happen. But you lose 7-0 to the Diamondbacks and you get just overmatched by a team that is in the cellar of the division after getting your butt kicked for 4 games in LA. It's just not good, and it's very disappointing coming off a 107 win season, that's for sure. So we'll talk about all of this, whether the Giants might actually be sellers, and much more on tomorrow's Locked On Giants, where it's your team every day.
Locked On Mariners said that Seattle needed a win on Monday, and the Mariners got it. Our host dives into the victory against the Rangers.
Man, the Mariners needed a win in the worst way possible on Monday, and it is a very, very, very good thing that they were able to get it. This is Tidy Gonzalez, host of the Locked On Mariners podcast. The Mariners eke out a 4-3 win over the Texas Rangers down at T-Mobile Park to open up their 3-game set to close out this homestand. The offense performed about as you would expect without Julio Rodriguez, Jesse Winker, and Kyle Lewis in the lineup, but Ty France was able to carry the load and then some. He goes 3 for 3 with a solo home run to dead center field. He was sensational tonight at the plate. Chris Flexen was really solid on the bump for the Mariners, and Andres Munoz was lights out coming out of the bullpen, but the bullpen did have a little bit of a shaky moment in the top of the ninth, particularly with Diego Castillo, who could not find his slider. He gives up a solo home run to Nathaniel Lowe to make it 4-3, then allows the game-tying and go-ahead runs to reach base with no outs. He did record a key strikeout before handing the ball over to Eric Swanson, who was thankfully able to shut the door and give the Mariners a much-needed win. They could not afford to lose this game, especially not in such a devastating fashion where they blew a 2-run lead in the ninth, not after getting swept by the Astros over this weekend. That would have certainly killed the mood. But the Mariners are back in the win column, and they are going for a series victory tomorrow, so the vibes are starting to feel a little bit better now that the Mariners have gotten a win here in the second half. Be sure to check us out on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts before the game. We'll see you then. Peace.
That's it for today on Locked On Now MLB. Thank you for making Locked On Now your first listen every single weekday. Make sure you now go check out Locked On MLB and your team's Locked On podcast. I'm Kainani Stevens. This is Locked On Now.